You know, I always test people whenever I had to hire somebody for the radio show, I always will ask the first question when they walk in the door is, so when you were listening to the station, give me something that you heard on the way in. Because I would think if you're going to come and try to get a job at this radio station or for this show, you darn well better have done a little homework, and at the very least, you should be listening on your way in, right? I mean, that makes sense.
It does.
So Ryan, the intern, the same thing with interns. They should be listening and know what they're dealing with once they get in here. Ryan, I asked him coming in, and I looked right in his eyes and said, do you lie? And he looked at me, and without blinking an eye, he stayed focused, which I immediately knew he was listening. Because he said he practiced all the way in, making sure that
I love
it. He's not going to get the nickname Shifty Eye, whole Shifty Eye, that Ryan. All right, Matt Episcopo's in here, and we're talking about how you can tell if somebody's lying by looking into their eyes. And in particular, this came up over the political candidates. If you were to have one candidate in your eyes, I mean, they all lie, right? Don't they all have to lie?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They do, unfortunately. I mean, they get asked so many different things, and they don't know the answer to it, and they don't want to look bad, so they make something up, hoping to buy some time or dodge the question. And
how about the Hillary, that question where, I mean, that is a tough position when you're asked flat out. I mean, if the rhetoric has become that you lie, that's got to be a tough question to answer. Do you lie? Have you ever lied?
Sure.
And
again, my best advice to anyone, any politicians, any people out there or whatever, just tell the truth and say, of course I do.
Yeah.
It's human nature to lie.
She could have done something funny like, well, of course I do. I mean, I said I liked your hair when I came in here.
Or answer a question with a question, do you?
Right. Well, that would have been, yeah.
Well, and it's like the question, do you speed?
Right.
You know, have you ever sped? And most people say, "Oh no," and we all speed.
Yeah, I've got the tickets to prove it.
He's got the receipt.
Yes, I do.
I don't speed. End of story.
There you go.
Back to Matt.
So, if I could just say one thing,
Yeah.
this matters, just like we saw with Ryan, where my guard is up now because I know you're going to ask me some questions.
Absolutely.
So, when you were going to be interrogating somebody. Would you come in and say, basically, I'm the human lie detector, or do you innocently kind of walk in, I'm just an investigator or whatever, and just start throwing questions? You don't let them know that, hey, I know if you're BSing me.
No, not at all. It's a casual conversation because their guard will be up.
Right.
And you want their guard to be down. So building rapport is huge. It's everything.
It's a good thing to study. It can be a tool that you can use
absolutely
in your life.
And this is why I want people to know this because, again, just because, like you were saying with your story earlier, just because someone looks down, don't go jumping to conclusions.
Right.
Just ask better questions and find out more about it.
All right, we're doing a lie detector test right now. How are we going to do it?
Really quick, I just want to let you know that as Matt was explaining all that, he was looking to his to the right, so he's recollecting the information. He's very correct.
As opposed to
there you go.
manufacturing.
Well, thank you. And see, this is what it does is knowing this information and telling where people are assessing the data banks in their mind.
Yeah.
You can formulate questions, and this is what we're going to do. So I have a couple questions formulated with anticipated answers.
All right.
I'll show you on the eye chart where I believe his eyes are going to go, and we'll see if it works or not.
Okay. All right.
So I'm going to ask him a question right now, and
Who's our guinea pig?
I'm going to. I believe that's what's going to happen. Okay. So let me ask you a question here. What was the color of the car that you first learned to drive on?
It was blue.
Was I correct?
You're absolutely correct.
He looked
so
up.
funny.
Up to the visual recall. Yeah.
Now,
Very
it's interesting to know that men, if you had a default setting, are visual creatures.
Yeah.
Women, if I could figure that out, I would write a different book. But if I had to press a default setting, it would be more on the emotional based. So knowing what people are and designing your questions, you can anticipate where their eyes are going to go. So if you don't see that, then you can ask why.
All right.
So we'll ask another question here, and it should be over this way, okay? So who was the first person that spoke to you this morning?
I didn't see my wife this morning. I think it was Christine.
Okay.
I think it was
and what
Christine.
did she say to you?
I couldn't tell you.
Good
morning, maybe.
Did that happen? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
that was
absolutely.
wow.
Yeah.
So now let's just do.
And what is that saying? That is, he's looking down, so he's.
It's an emotional base.
Okay.
Right. So he's searching for it. And when you ask someone, who's the first person that spoke to you,
Yeah.
that could be an auditory response. But depending on what they said, it could be an emotional response. So it just depends on where they're accessing this.
Interesting.
So let's just try one of these. We'll go for this side here.
Okay.
What would the offspring of an elephant and giraffe look like? Done.
Yeah, I don't even know. It doesn't matter, does it?
And he looked which way on that?
He went to construction because
To
that
try to-
doesn't exist, so he had to make it up in his mind.
Okay, all right. So
So what would your ideal woman look like?
Exactly like his wife, and he's telling the truth.
all right, that's very, very good.
Yeah, so that's just a little example. And
Okay.
so I was showing these guys, was I not, showing you where I thought the eyes were going to go.
And they did each time.
every
Yeah.
single time.
Yeah.
So you know what's really cool too is because I said I'll be the guinea pig. So I'm thinking you're going to hit me with like some tough personal questions
at
or
all.
something. So my guard is up for that. He's asking about elephants, giraffes, the color of the first
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Totally caught me off guard, and then I just went into regular mode.
And when you see the person, I have a really interesting question. I'm going to hit you with that. At least I think is interesting. When you see the person, now I'm all confused. Let me ask the question
Sure thing.
I was going to ask. What about the pathological liar?
Right.
What about the person who believes? I'm listen. I have one person that is in my mind that I'm thinking about.
Right.
That is in my belief completely pathological.
Right.
To the point that I think they believe it.
Right.
So if they believe, and this is a pathological problem, if they believe it, then they're not questioning themselves, right? So does that throw you off?
Potentially. Again,
Yeah.
what you have to do is every single person is different, so you have to norm that person and
Yeah.
see what they're doing when you're talking about things they like to talk
Yeah,
about. And then
yeah.
when you start getting to the issue at hand, is there a change? Is there a shift? Is there anything different going on there?
Why do we lie? Now, there's the lying that is yeah, honey, you look incredible. in
And
that.
she does.
Yeah, and she does. That's right. Or whatever. No, you don't look. You haven't put on weight. You haven't done this. These little white lies that we tell all the time. But on that pathological side, like I had somebody that in fact, to me hiring somebody as a producer
Right.
for the show. That made up this whole story about being friends with David Letterman.
Oh, jeez.
and like literally, I walked into the room, and it's like, what's the Paul? Oh, Paul, you are so funny. Will you tell Dave? I appreciate it. This person led a group of radio station employees to a house, and everybody's sitting there waiting for David Letterman to come home because she set up a meeting. Like, why we ever fell for this, I don't know.
Sure.
And some woman comes out and is like, "What are you people doing here?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, we're waiting for Dave." Dave who? David Letterman. David Letterman does not live here. So her answer to that, as everybody was upset and leaving, was, "Trust me, that's his housekeeper. She's not
Trust me.
She's not gonna tell you that
Right.
Dave lives here.
Right.
You know, she's gonna keep the secret." So that bad. How do you deal with a person like that?
Well, that is tough. I mean, they're living a lie, aren't they?
Living a lie.
Absolutely.
So would you then take maybe simple questions that you both mutually know that are the truth, and then gauge their? I mean, would that be helpful at all to you
Absolutely.
to gauge their reactions?
Absolutely.
To say, what color is your shirt?
Sure.
Blue.
Absolutely.
You both know that that's the color of the shirt at the time. So would maybe that be helpful, or are they able to turn that on and off because of the, as Bill says, the pathological nature?
No, so what we're talking about with the eye movements is that's something that you have zero control over. You have no control over it, so it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how are you phrasing the question and what jeopardy is there. So,
Yeah.
Bill, when you're asking why do people lie, more times than not, it's based on jeopardy.
Yeah.
What's at stake for them?
And sometimes you get into the habit, right? Yeah, to the point where all of a sudden you're building a lie, and then to protect the lie, you have to add a lie on top of the lie.
Yeah, you gotta
And
get out of it.
Before you know it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's really out of control. So, all right, there's a lot to be learned here. And again, they get your book. Explain how they can get your book.
Sure. So go to theupperhandbook.com. Everything that we were just talking about here on the air, there's a free video about that and a free PDF that you can download. And I appreciate you having me in here today. It's always a pleasure.
Good stuff. We enjoyed this a lot. We now know how to tell if Manaski's lying. 8:35. Hold on tight. We'll come right back at WIBX.